Welcome back to the Keto Vegan podcast. I'm Rach. I am the host. Today I'm taking a detour from my usual low carb, plant powered discussions to address something that is pressing and has been on my mind for a while. And basically, I think it should be on your mind too. For a while, one of my daughters has been saying about the bank that I banked with, which was Morgan Chase, was an unethical bank. So I started doing the research, and yes, it is. It's supporting things that I certainly do not support, not with climate change and that kind of thing. And so I changed my bank to what I found was an ethical bank, and I changed it to Nationwide. And then I saw a report written by The Guardian and this research that they'd been doing. Basically, many big banks in the UK are funding fossil fuel industries. They are funding massive fossil fuel projects, which are ominously dubbed as carbon bombs. Now, these projects are so massive that they threaten to derail global efforts to combat climate change. Let's delve into the details. Between 2016 and 2023, there have been 9 major UK banks, including HSBC, Barclays, NatWest, Lloyds, and Standard Chartered, have collectively invested, wait for this amount, over £75 billion into companies that are developing these carbon bomb projects. These ventures are poised to emit a staggering 420 billion tons of carbon dioxide over their lifespans. This is equivalent to over a decade's worth of current global emissions. Now, the UK is probably not the site of these projects, but our financial institutions are the linchpins enabling their existence. So the City of London has effectively become Europe's stronghold for financing fossil fuel expansion, undermining the UK's professed commitment to climate leadership. So let's go deeper into these banks. So HSBC tops this list, backing companies involved in 104 carbon bomb projects. The next one is Standard Chartered, follows with 75. Then we've got Barclays, they are linked to 62. Lloyds has financed 26. NatWest is connected with 20. And these aren't all the banks. Research your bank. They claim that their financing supports a transition to cleaner energy. However, the data tells a very different story. Their investments are predominantly funneled into new fossil fuel projects, not renewable energy initiatives. One bank was interviewed, I can't remember which one exactly, and they responded by saying, yes, but we're also investing millions of pounds into renewable energy initiatives. That's like, say, a rapist saying, yeah, but I only raped one person. There were 20 others that I could have raped, but I didn't. So therefore, what I'm doing is good. It's madness, isn't it? How can they justify financing these carbon bombs by saying, oh, but we are doing renewable research and investments too? It's beyond belief. What's going to be the global impact of these? So these carbon bombs span 28 countries, with the UK serving as the key financial hub for their development. Despite the UK's commitments, especially with the Labour government, to climate goals, its financial institutions are enabling projects that could derail efforts to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees by 1.5 degrees centigrade. These carbon bomb projects aren't just numbers on a financial spreadsheet. They're real developments with devastating consequences. One example, and I'm going to have to read this because the name I'm going to pronounce wrong. Sorry about that. So it's in Mozambique, the Cabo, C-A-B-O, Delgado, D-E-L-G-A-D-O province. is a massive offshore pipeline and liquefied natural gas plant. It's one of these carbon bombs, and it's backed by over £1 billion from the UK government, is displacing local communities and threatening fragile ecosystems. And moreover, these projects are global in scope, with significant developments in the US and Canada, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the emissions from these ventures could single-handedly consume the remaining carbon budget, which is needed to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees. And that is just that, let alone all the other emissions that are going on the planet. There's a human cost as well. In Uganda, the East African crude oil pipeline, which was financed in part by HSBC Bank, has already displaced thousands and is projected to emit 379 million tons of CO2 over its lifetime. I don't know if you've heard of greenwashing. It happens all over the place. Greenwashing is when people, well, companies, organizations are saying one thing that is like climate friendly and environmentally friendly, but actually underneath, where people can't see and they're keeping it secret, they are doing things that are detrimental to our planet. Banks like NatWest have publicly committed to net zero targets, but they have continued to fund fossil fuel expansion. So NatWest, for instance, helped BP raise nearly £500 million for a gas project in Azerbaijan, which is potentially violating its own climate pledges. Now, these banks say how wonderfully green they are, and they've got these green credentials. The reality is completely different when you look underneath the surface. HSBC is another example, recently delayed its net zero target by 20 years. 20 years, now aiming for 2050 instead of 2030. Now, simultaneously, the bank CEO stands to receive a bonus worth up to 600% of his salary under a new incentive plan that reduces environmental targets. The morality of this is disgusting. This isn't just greenwashing. It's blatant disregard for our climate crisis, for our beautiful planet. What can you do? You can look at your bank's policies, investigate whether your bank funds fossil fuel projects. Consider switching banks. Opt for a financial institution that prioritizes sustainable investments, only sustainable investments. Raise awareness, talk to people about it. Say that you've switched your bank because you didn't agree with what they are doing to our planet for our children, our grandchildren, and our descendants. Your money has power. If you are banking with any of these banks, you are indirectly supporting the climate crisis. You are indirectly supporting what they are doing with your money, because it is your money they are doing this with. So consider switching banks that prioritize these ethical and sustainable investments. There's a couple of links below that can help you that can help you make an informed choices. One is BankTrack and the other is Switch It Green. There's lots of other websites out there too. Just put it into Ecosia or Google, whatever search engine you use, and find out. Do the research. As I said, I switched to Nationwide. There is another very ethical bank that's even more ethical than Nationwide, but I think the benefits weren't as good banking with them. But do your research. Change your bank. It's so easy to do. If you've got direct debits, they will automatically do them for you. So simple. If you've got clients paying into your business, just let them know. They are more than happy to change your bank details. I had to do it twice recently. I'm not going to do it again. So my final thoughts about this horrific topic. The fight against climate change isn't just about what you're eating, counting your macros, personal choices, recycling, transportation, going vegan. Going vegan is one of the most important things you can do, the biggest effect you as an individual can have on the planet. It's also about where you are putting your money, who you are supporting. It was unconscious, what you weren't aware of it, but you are aware now. Where are you going to invest your money? Have you got investments? Who do you invest in? By holding these banks accountable and choosing financial institutions that don't support these climate bombs, these carbon bombs, and that actually align with your own values, we can collectively drive change. And you think, well, I'm just one person. Yeah, you are just one person, but so is the other person. So are the people you're going to talk to and share this information with. People said veganism would never take off, but look how many vegans there are now compared to how many there were 20 years ago. Look how many products are vegan in the stores compared to 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So remember, every pound you put into your bank, and for some of you, it's going to be many pounds. For some of you, not so many pounds, but every single pound that you deposit is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. So let's make it count.